Alright, so a beautiful day here in San Francisco. Today I'm going to be experimenting with some new mediums. Alright, so I have Neo McGilp from Gamblin, walnut oil from M. Graham, and then Gamblin's solvent-free fluid. Here is the scene I'm working with. I'm going to try to capture the shadows on the buildings to the right before they disappear. I'll be painting on a 20 by 20 inch stretched canvas, and I've got my usual palette of colors here. Alright, I'm starting with the Neo McGilp. The Neo McGilp is the closest to Liquin, and the reason I'm experimenting with new mediums is because last time I used Liquin, it was so toxic smelling, it gave me a headache and made me nauseous. So far, the Neo McGilp seems kind of close to Liquin, although I would say it's actually a little bit more liquidy. In here, I've got some M. Graham walnut oil, blocking in some tree shapes here. And the walnut oil is a bit more fluid than the Neo McGilp, but only slightly. Now I'm gonna try the solvent-free fluid from Gamblin. This one does not thin the paint as much. As for the odor, I would say the Neo McGilp has the strongest smell, so I'm actually not even going to use it. I'm going to switch between the solvent-free fluid and the M. Graham walnut oil, both of which have a very slight chemical smell, but not much at all. Okay, so there is the composition. I think what I'm going to do is paint the first half of the painting with the walnut oil and the second half of the painting using the solvent-free fluid. Otherwise, I'm just going to get kind of confused. So far, liking this walnut oil. And I've got a mixture here of ultramarine blue, a bit of burnt sienna, and some alizarin crimson. I think these trees actually come down sort of like that. There's some cars in here going down the hill. I've also got a car here in the foreground, which should help create some depth. All right, I've got a dark green mixture here for the dark portion of the trees. I'm noticing that it's better to go sparingly with the walnut oil. I was being a bit too liberal with it. Up in this area, I use too much, so I'm trying to experiment with the right amount to use. But so far, it's doing what I need it to do. It'll be interesting to see if it starts getting tacky, which is what happens with Liquin on a warm day, and it is kind of a warm day today, so we shall see. Some of you might wonder why I use medium at all, and I find that medium helps me paint faster, and then when I'm painting on panels, the medium actually makes for a stronger paint film. I think I'm getting the ratio right here because this paint is handling nicely now. All right, I've got sort of a dark blue-green mixture here for the windows on this apartment building. There's actually quite a bit of variety in the color on these windows. Some are kind of light blue, and then others are this blue-green color. And there's sort of an irregular pattern. I'm not sure if I'll stick with the irregular pattern or switch it up a bit. What I like to do is at first stay true to the scene and then make some adjustments depending on how the composition is developing. All right, for the sky, I've got a mixture of titanium white, ultramarine blue, and phthalo blue. This mixture might be a bit dark. That's not unusual for me, but we'll see. It's always easy to lighten up the mix. Often when I want to lighten a sky, I'll just mix titanium white directly into the paint that I've already got on the canvas. That usually works. And if it doesn't work, I will scrape down the canvas or wipe off some of the paint. But usually that's not necessary. Squinting at the scene to reduce it to simple shapes. I can't believe I've gotten this far in the video without saying shapes. Sometimes when I'm editing, I think, okay, I've said shapes. like 15 times in the first 5 minutes. But that's what it's all about. That's what painting is about, shapes. Okay, there we go. All right, I've got a warm gray here that I mixed up using titanium white, cadmium yellow medium, alizarin crimson, touch of ultramarine blue, and I think there's some burnt sienna in there too. That's a little bit excessive, or not excessive, but that's more colors than I usually use. Sometimes I can get what I want using 2 colors, and sometimes it takes 5. There's actually quite a bit of variation in the color of the street, and I'll be looking for those variations as I develop the painting, but for now just blocking in, trying to cover the canvas. This is a cotton duck canvas. It's a Blick Premier, kind of a medium texture, so it takes quite a bit of scrubbing to cover. It's another nice thing about medium is that it helps liquefy the paint so that it is easier to cover a coarse canvas, which is helpful especially during the block-in. All right, so all the darks are blocked in. I walked back about 10 feet to make sure that the composition was working, and now I am blocking in the lights. I'm always looking for a variety of temperatures. Most of the buildings are warm in temperature, but this building has a bluish tint, and creating a feeling of light on a cool colored building can be challenging. We'll see how it goes. But I do like having a variety of warms and cools in a painting. So I may have to warm that up just a little bit, but I'm gonna start with this kind of bluish color. This car is actually blue. It was silver and then a blue car pulled in, but I am going to paint it red just so I can get some red into the painting. All right, so there is the block in. At this point, I'm going to start coming in with thicker paint. Probably won't be using much medium from here on out. All right, so I've switched over to a synthetic flat number 4. I was using a natural flat number 6. I'm always careful with the value of the trees. In the past, I would make the trees too light in value, which is really easy to do. But what I do is I try to compare the value of the tree to the sky, and it's always much darker than the sky, even the portion that's lit up. All right, so here is what I finished up with. This painting took about 2.5 hours to complete. It was finished on site. I will be doing touch-ups on this painting. One thing that I noticed with these mediums was that they do not dry as quickly as liquid. Liquid starts getting tacky and dries pretty quickly, which some painters do not like. I actually have gotten used to that, and I use it to my advantage. For example, when I tried to come across the top of this building here and put some lines in, it would have been helpful had the paint started to become tacky. If it started to dry a bit, it would have been easier to put those lines on. And then I also noticed that the painting took longer to dry at home. With liquid, the painting will be dry to the touch usually in 24 hours. But with the walnut oil and the solvent-free liquid, it took a little bit longer. However, I did like all 3 mediums. The Neo McGilp, the solvent-free liquid, both from Gamblin, and then the walnut oil from M. Graham. All are very useful mediums. I kind of came to the conclusion that you just have to experiment with them and also give yourself some time to adjust to the fact that they may be different from what you're currently using. So I feel like I need to use these mediums for a while before I can give an accurate review. So my Show Ed Studio Gallery is open. The work is on the walls. I have not been to the gallery yet to see it, but Jen from the gallery did send me a short video to show me a few of the pieces on the wall. But anyway, I'm excited to go today to the reception, which is from 3 to 5 p.m. at Studio Gallery in San Francisco. And today's date, for those of you watching in the future, is Sunday, October 6th, 2024, 3 to 5 p.m. If you're in the area, stop by. But also, all of the images are online, and a lot of the paintings in this show were painted in videos that I've done here on YouTube. And so what we've done is, on the gallery website, we've put a link to the video in which the painting was painted. And so I will put a link to the gallery webpage or their website with all the images. I'll put that link in the description below, so check it out. If you would like to see some extra videos and help support the channel, there's a Patreon link down below. It's the Patreon support and possibly buying one of my paintings. That's the sort of thing that helps keep me making these videos, and it's much appreciated, so check it out. Stay creative. See you guys in the next video.